This is a short video to show you what to do with your Meaco ultrasonic humidifier when you get a flashing display, as the one you can see here. It's all to do with cleaning. Ultrasonic humidifiers require regular cleaning in order to keep them in tip-top condition and to get optimum performance. It's also important to clean your humidifier regularly to ensure that the water inside the machine is clean and that you're getting clean humidified air to breathe for yourself and your family. It's so important that it's part of the electrical standards for ultrasonic humidifiers. So this flashing on the display comes up every 72 hours to remind you to give your machine a clean. And it's really important to actually give it a quick clean. It won't take you long. I'll show you how. But please do try and make this part of your humidification routine rather than just reset the machine and start it to humidify again. Okay, so now we're going to deal with actually cleaning the unit and getting it back into operational state and out of this flashing mode. So because we're going to now be dealing with water and cleaning the unit, first things first is unplug it, because we don't want to have any electricity going through the unit whilst we're messing around with the water. So that's the unit unplugged. It's now safe for us to open it up and to be dealing with it. Normally I'd do this in a kitchen area, so I'll be around the sink because we are going to spill some water, quite obviously. It's not practical for us to film there, so I've got a washing up bowl, and I'm just going to hope that I don't make too much of a mess around this desk. So first things first, take the unit apart. In the top there's a small brush that can be used to clean the ultrasonic pad. The tank itself, the outside of it, just give it a little bit of a wipe with a damp cloth. That's perfectly fine. Shouldn't need anything particular to clean the outside. This has still got quite a lot of water in it. I'll deal with that just by pouring it away down the sink, and that I'll just give a really good rinse to. So I'll just rinse some water through in order to give it a bit of a clean. Every now and again, what I will do is once every 3 months or so, I'll re-soak this in a salt solution for 24 hours in order to regenerate it. And because Guildford has got really hard water, once every 6 months or so I'll just replace this with a new one. I'll know when this needs to be replaced because you'll start to see little white bits of chalk dust appearing on the surface around where you're using the humidifier, almost like dandruff appearing everywhere, humidifier dandruff, and that tells us that the hard water and the lime scale is starting to win, and this needs to be replaced if regeneration of this doesn't work. But again, I'll just give that a wipe with a damp cloth, and every now and again, if I look down into the tank, at the moment that actually looks quite clean inside, but if it did start to look like there was any build-up within there, I would just get a brush that I'd use for washing up bottles, etc. Just use that inside just to give it a clean and to loosen up anything. And if you find that again you want to do something a bit more, then the sort of Milton sterilizing tablets and solutions, you can pop that in there and let it work its magic. But really important, if you do use any chemicals whilst you are washing the different component parts, make sure you give them a really good rinse before starting to use it again, because if you're using any form of chemicals to do the cleaning, you don't want to be breathing that stuff in afterwards. So make sure you give it a really good rinse afterwards. So that at the moment is all fairly clean, so I'm just going to give that a rinse, fresh water, make sure that nothing's allowed to sit in there for too long. It's the base when really it does tend to get quite mucky because that's where the ultrasonic pad is. Our PTC sensor, as you would have seen on the other video that I did about this humidifier, and I'm going to place that over there and offer it up to the camera. The PTC sensor itself it's covered in limescale. So it's still performing, it's still working, but it's not in the best sort of shape for optimum performance because it's got the limescale covering it. So what I'm going to do is, like I say, Guildford is a really, really hard water area. We got some of the hardest water within the whole of Europe. You're not going to have to worry about this so much if you're in a soft water area. If you're in a soft water area, just take a cloth, wipe it round, pour this water away, you're good to go. Hard water area, you've got to have a little bit more care about it. This is one of these sort of chemical descaling bags that you get for descaling kettles, and they're great for removing limescale. I'm just going to pop that in there, and I'm just going to leave it for half an hour or so. Normally, if it's doing a kettle, they say leave it for 10 minutes, but they use boiling water, and I'm not going to put hot water in this. So I'm just going to leave it for half an hour, maybe even an hour, and just let it do its stuff, and that will loosen up the limescale enough so I'll be able to remove it and sort it out. There's not a huge amount of water in the base at the moment, so just to cover it up a bit more, I'm just going to, hopefully without making too much mess, just pour some more water in from there. Just take it up so everything's covered. So we'll leave this for now, and we'll come back a little bit later on the video and see how we're getting on. Right, that's been in there for about an hour or so. So now I can just remove this sort of tea bag, which had the descaler in, and I can just get rid of that. And as it's been in there over the hour or so, all I've been doing is just taking the brush that comes with it, and I've just been going around the PTC sensor in order to clean it, going around the ultrasonic pad just to loosen things up. So I've been just doing that periodically over the last hour or so, just to encourage things to loosen up as it sits within the solution all around. And as you can see, that PTC sensor was, well, it was white earlier, and now it's well, 98% black now, so a lot better. All I'll do now is just take the water and carefully pour it away. Don't want to get too much of this on my fingers. And you can see so much better, a lot better inside there. A little bit of yellow discoloration, particularly around the UV lamp here. That's a good thing. That tells me that the UV lamp has been working. What I'll do now is I'll get some fresh water. I'll rinse this through a couple of times, well, probably more than a couple of times, just to satisfy myself that any chemicals have been cleared out. I'm going to be very careful at all times to make sure that I'm not getting anything on the humidity sensor and anywhere near the electronics. So I'm going to keep them separate, the water, and be very careful with that. Then once that's done, I can just start to put everything back together so that it's good to go, and we can start humidifying again. Okay, I've rinsed this out several times, so I'm happy now that I've got a chemical-free interior, and you can see it's a lot cleaner. That limescale has really gone, so that's going to help this last a lot longer. I've rinsed out the tank several times, and I'm happy that that's okay. And now I'm really ready to put it all back together. So water back in here. Pop the cap back on. Look for the Meaco logo, because that goes at the front. So Meaco logo's on this side. Pop that back on. There is a handle there to make it easier if I wasn't sitting down trying to do this presentation. You can hear all the water glugging its way back down. Pop the tap back on. Now I can plug it back in. It bleeps. So it's still flashing because it doesn't know that it's been cleaned. Okay, so I'm going to press the power button for 3 seconds. There was a bleep there to acknowledge that I've done that. Now I turn it back on and it starts to work. And we're good for another 72 hours. That whole process of descaling, you're not going to have to do that every 3 days. Even in Guildford, where the hard water is bad, I'm not doing that every 3 days. But I wanted to show you the process so you can see as bad as it gets and as labour intensive as it gets, if you like. Although I left it in there dissolving for an hour or so, my actual involvement in terms of time that it took me to do all of this was probably 3 or 4 minutes, something like that. It wasn't long. You know, how long does it take just to pop the bag in there and leave it standing, come back a few times and just give it a clean with the brush, pour some water through, rinse it out. You know, I'm looking at 3 or 4 minutes. Anyway, that's how to look after your Meaco ultrasonic humidifier. If you've got any questions, leave it in the comments below and we'll get back to you. If there's any other videos that you'd like to see from us, then please let us know. But for now, thank you very much. Goodbye.